Good evening. If you're just joining us, I want to welcome you into the room, welcome you to night 3 of our Black Generational Wealth Series 2022. We're glad to have you here this evening. We are recording live on Facebook, so if this is your first night here with us throughout the series, you can check out our last 2 events on our Facebook page. If you've been with us the whole ride, well, welcome back. You know we're in for another riveting discussion around generating wealth in our communities. My name is Eric Westbrook, the Director for the Mayor's Office of Black Male Engagement, and I will be your host tonight. And I have the awesome pleasure of introducing our moderator for this evening, none other than Mr. Eric Marsh. But before we get there, I want to encourage you all to make yourselves comfortable. Get a nice place to sit, something warm or hot or cold to drink as we get ready to embark on another powerful discussion around generating wealth in our community. We're going to let a couple minutes more go by so we can let this room continue to fill up. Please feel free to engage the chat. Let folks know you're here. We thank you for being with us. Our Facebook page is Black Male Engagement PHL. And you can see our past events there, and also stay tuned for future events. All right. Well, thank you all again for being here tonight. My name is Eric Westbrook again for the Mayor's Office of Black Male Engagement. And I want to thank every one of you again for making this series, again, a priority. And you all being here to come and grab more information around generating wealth in our communities. You know, one way to wealth in our communities is business, is small business, owning businesses, generating our economy and continuing to add to it through our dollar and our business. And so we're excited to talk about business strategies for enduring challenging times. That's a very least thing to say in terms of the last few years. We've been through very difficult times and our businesses have been challenged like none other. Well, I'm so glad tonight we have some panelists and a moderator that's going to lead a discussion to help us really formalize and strategize our approach to building businesses. We want to build businesses that last and that are able to endure, and also give tips and strategies on how to pivot and even partner to ensure our longevity. So without further ado, I want to thank the Mayor's Commission on African American Males for partnering once again with us to help us host again Black Generational Wealth Series 2022. And we're excited to move forward with tonight's topic. And I'm going to transition this over to our illustrious moderator for the evening, none other than Mr. Eric Marsh, who serves as chair on the Mayor's Commission on African American Males, and is also at WHYY, none other than Mr. Eric Marsh.
Well, Eric, thank you so much. Eric W, as we say, or EW. Thank you so much for putting this series together. Again, I'm here on behalf of the Mayor's Commission of African American Males. I'm the newly appointed incoming chairman of MCAM. And I can't tell you what an honor it is to not only be here, but also to serve in this position. The mission of MCAM is to advocate for Black men and boys in the city of Philadelphia to the mayor, city council, and elected officials across the city. And so one of the purposes of the commission and one of the areas of focus is economic development. And so on behalf of the Economic Development Committee, let me thank all of you who are attending tonight, because there is nothing more important in our community than understanding how to grow and maintain generational wealth. I believe wholeheartedly that it is at the center of a lot of our traumas and struggles, but is also a key to our liberation and our future as Black African Americans in the city of Philadelphia and in this country. And so on that note, what I want to do is thank the panelists who are here tonight as we begin to dig into this conversation around Black generational wealth, building it, and strategies for enduring challenging times. As you all know, we are still in the midst of dealing with the aftermath of the pandemic and COVID-19 and all the repercussions that has laid at our feet. And so tonight we want to get into understanding a little bit about who our guests are and what are some strategies that they've used to build generational wealth and endure through some challenging times. So I want to start off with the first person I want to start with is Nicole Tillman. Nicole is the Business Services Manager for the Office of Business Services with the Department of Commerce here with the City of Philadelphia. Nicole, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
We're glad to have you. We're going to jump into conversations and questions in a minute. But my next guest is Dr. Jamisa McIvor-Bennett. Dr. Bennett is a real estate investor, celebrity consultant, and TED Talk orator. Jamisa, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. We look forward to jumping into the conversation. And last but not least, our other guest is Tyrell Taylor. He's a realtor with Keller Williams Real Estate and also property manager with Altair Property Group. Tyrell, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful. It's a blessing to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you here as well. One of the things that what I want to do is I want to go around and give each of you an opportunity to share your personal story about what got you to the position that you're in, what brought you to the work that you do in relation to business, entrepreneurism, and generational wealth, and let people know, what qualifies you to be here to have this conversation. And I want to start with Tyrell first. Tyrell, I know you had shared with me a little bit about your work in real estate, but you comes from a very personal position, a personal reason. Share with us a little bit about what got you into using real estate to build generational wealth.
So one of the biggest things that motivate me in my everyday life is family. That's first and foremost. I feel like because of my upbringing, it kind of helped me get into the career and carry myself a certain way. When I was a child, we actually lost the house and my mother had to go live in a shelter. And pretty much I had to go and live couch to couch, room to room. I remember being 17, 18 years old, sharing a bed with my older cousin, because I didn't have a place of my own. So I never wanted to be in a position like that again. And I didn't want that to be a position of my family's in the future. So I used that as motivation in my everyday life, not only in real estate, but in any career that I had. I used that to actually scale my business and get me to the next level. So fast forward to 9 years later, I got into real estate after working at so many different luxury apartment buildings in downtown Philadelphia and making connections in real estate. I met everyone that I could, every property manager, every property management firm, every developer in the city of Philadelphia that I possibly could get in the room with and just have the conversation. That was the biggest thing for me, was just have the conversation, because when you start talking to those people and they're at a certain level, you learn certain things that will actually help you with your future success. And I feel like because of my story and my path, because of my struggles, it pushed me to, it literally forced me to become successful in my own right. So I hope I answered your question clearly. Thank you so much for having me here again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's a powerful story that you shared, and it's always heartwarming to see and hear the results of like overcoming that kind of challenge. So thank you for being here, and thank you for continuing to do what you do and represent for folks who are going through, tough times. We do need to see examples of how there is an opportunity through the struggle and after the struggle, right? So thank you for that, Tyrell. Nicole, I want to go to you now and ask you a little bit about your role with the city, with the Commerce Department. What led you to that? And what are some of the things that you feel like you want people to know about your role and how you got here?
Okay. So my current role is a business services manager with the Commerce Department. And our unit is specifically the Office of Business Services. So our purpose, our goal is to help support all businesses in the neighborhoods in the city of Philadelphia. So not just, center city, we're not center city focused, we're actually focused on the neighborhood. I actually am originally from Pittsburgh, and I moved here about probably about 12, almost 13 years ago now. I started off as an admin working at the University of Penn. That didn't work out. Opened up another job. This job position opened up with the Commerce Department, and I started as an admin in that position, which really just working in the department opened up my eyes to just the need for help with businesses in the city. There's so many resources that are available that businesses are just not aware of, that our office tries to make sure that we provide the information so that people can understand that these resources are out there. Like I said, I started as an admin, and being an admin, that position kind of calls for you to be the support that people need so that they can be their best. And with that always being something that's been in my professional life, moving forward into this business services position, I feel like now I'm taking that skill set of making sure that, whoever I was working for is the best that they could be. Now I'm doing that for businesses. Let me get all the resources to you that you need so that you can be the best business possible, so that you can create that generational wealth and, move forward, expand, and be the best business. So that's a little bit about me. I hope I answered the question.
No, you did, and thank you for that, because again, it's good to know the trajectory of the panelists and what brings you here. And also, we'll get in a little bit more later on to the services that your office provides and how it addresses some of the disparities that we're going to talk about a little bit. But next, I want to go to Dr. Jamisa. Dr. Jamisa, we got a chance to have a brief conversation earlier, and I was really excited talking to you because of the energy that you bring to this, but more importantly, the personal story and how you've got on this trajectory in terms of not only real estate investing, but coaching and helping other people live their best life and build generational wealth. Tell us a little bit about what got you started on your path.
Being a helper. So my start in real estate happened when I was 19 years old, when my grandmother passed away. She put me on her deed. I took care of my grandma a lot. As I told you, she was really independent, but just with the standard things like getting her to doctor's appointments, taking her food shopping, all of those things. And me being the eldest of 10 siblings, I always had a lot of responsibility on my plate anyway. I was the one who made sure, okay, this is what we're going to eat. This is how we're going to do it. Clean up the toys. I was like the mom before I even became a mother. So when my grandmother passed away, that is like when reality set in for me, because like owning a house is one thing, but managing a house, understanding the dynamics of what ownership actually entails is a completely different thing. And at 19 years old, I didn't have any prior knowledge. I didn't know anything about a house except people living in it. So I ended up, trying different things. One, I attempted to get the house fixed. I realized contractors cost a lot of money, more money than you have as a cashier, because that was my job at the time. So I remember selling the property at 19 years old. I cleared 150,000 or like 152,000. And I remember being determined to just like make it count, right? It's not often that people are afforded such opportunities. And I feel like a lot of those people miss those opportunities because they don't recognize it to be one. It's like, oh, it's just money. Let me spend it. They're excited because they're trying to fulfill different voids. And one of the biggest things I teach is that you can't fully accept generational wealth without acknowledging the generational curses that you have to combat to be able to grow from that. And that was really one of those things. So my generational wealth journey really started with me recognizing what my curses were from my family in terms of, our money history, how we do things, how we go about things. Even the conversation that I had with my grandmother prior to her passing, she said, hey, this is all we have. So there's that fear there, which is also a generational curse. It's not about what we have. If we have this, we could always gain more. So, I took it as an opportunity and I knocked it out of the park.
Yes, thank you. You did knock it out of the park. We'll get into a little bit more details about what that means and what that looks like when you say you knocked that out of the park, right? But I'm assuming part of that is actually there is some sense of generational wealth being built and being honored. Now, I love the fact that what you shared about your grandmother's property and using that opportunity as a resource rather than just cashing out. And as you said, when we talked, splitting up the money amongst relatives, when that money would have been gone, whereas now you've been able to not only, I don't want to use the word flip it, but you've been able to invest it, right? You've been able to invest it and grow that. So what I want the three of you to share a little bit about is, from your perspective, let's give the folks who are watching some understanding of the struggle, right? Where are the current conditions that we're dealing with right now? So for instance, the average income of African-American families in this country is approximately $27,000. That's only 2/3 of the average white income, which is well over 40. And some actually estimates put it higher than that, right? What is it that we can do from a individual standpoint, a family standpoint, that can help start to build generational wealth? What are some strategies that you guys want to talk about, or something that you're aware about? Where should we start? Those folks who are watching, following us, following this conversation, where would you advise someone? And I want to start with Dr. Jamisa, because I know this is something that you do on a regular basis, advising folks. What would be your first advice for someone who says, I don't know where to start building generational wealth?
I would say start with what you have. I feel like us as a community, we are always looking outside of ourselves for an answer, because generationally speaking, if you look back at slavery times, we were designed in a way to feel like we were inferior, when in all actuality, that was never the case. We were strong enough to build houses, mine crops, work in hellish conditions, have babies that we didn't want to have, or nurture and raise babies that weren't ours. So we always possessed a certain power. And it was to the benefit of our oppressor that they didn't let us know how powerful we were. So just looking inside of your household first, right? And really becoming selfish with it. You have to, I feel like a lot of families, since there's no real togetherness, you got people who can't wait to get away from each other. Like, you grow up in a household, you have a bunch of siblings. I'm leaving. I'm out of here. I'm going here. I'm moving here. But your community is your family, right? Think of it as any company that we use frequently. Like you think about how it was built. It was a family business. It was one entrepreneur that had a dream, and there was a family who was around that entrepreneur who supported that dream. And then it grew, it expanded, and then they were able to replicate, the process. So you look at it, what do you have? If it's a sister, cousin, aunt, uncle, okay, one CEO, one CFO. Like build your life in a way where you are recontributing to your family, opposed to you going over there being a musician, you being an actor. There's no pouring into. We're taking away from each other and we're dividing. And by doing so without a proper strategy, you're not going to conquer anything. So look at what you have and look at how you can make it work. Tell them, look, we're not buying Chick-fil-A for 6 months. Every time you have the urge to go to the drive-thru, put $20 in this pot or put $20 inside of this box, right? Break out of the I don't trust thing. Because what I've also learned from my counterparts and being around them, I'm sure Tyrell can attest to this, they don't always think highly of each other or trust each other either, but they understand that black and white supersedes all emotion in business. Sign a contract, right? I don't want to put my money here. This person might run away with it. Listen, sign a contract to prevent that from actually happening. And most people, they have houses or they have access to houses, right? You think about a person who says, hey, I can't afford to purchase a home. And that same individual lives somewhere in which they're probably paying upwards $1,200 a month for rent. There's a sacrifice that needs to be had there, because it's not saying that you don't have the money. Clearly you have it. You're just using it for something else. So really just sitting down, creating a family plan and a budget and deciding what the end goal is going to be for all of you.
Family plan and budget. You said a mouthful there.
Oh man.
I think you're right on point. And Nicole, I want to come to you and ask you the same question. With your work that you do every day, working with entrepreneurs and businesses, what are some strategies that you see that somebody that's just starting off, whether they're 18 or 80, they've got a little bit of savings, or maybe they don't have any savings, but they're working a job or they have some income. What are some strategies that you recommend for folks to start the process of building generational wealth?
I would say, especially if they're starting a business, one that they really, Dr. Jamisa really hit this on the head when she said starting basically with a business plan. Business plans are so important. I think that because we live in this microwave society, everybody wants to get stuff quick and just do stuff fast. They're not taking the time to properly plan. So really sitting down and thinking about, like, if you're starting this business, what is my niche? What is the one product or thing or service that I'm supplying to the world that no one else can do in a way that no one else can do it? And then how can I monetize that? How can I expand it and grow it? What other resources are out there? I would say that one of the other main things is people just don't have the knowledge that the resources are out there. You need to be diligent about chasing your dream and pouring into whatever the business is, the plan, all of it. Put your whole best self into it as much as possible. So not being afraid to ask for help and find out what those resources are. And really, I mean, since we're in the city of Philadelphia, I'm saying contact our office with the Department of Commerce. We have a business hotline. We actually answer the phone. We're friendly. And we want to see businesses thriving. So the ways to contact us are either through our hotline, which is 215-683-2100, or you can email us at business@phila.gov. And our focus in the Office of Business Services is to connect you to those resources. We get you connected to the places that will help you with writing your business plan. We have partnerships with different organizations that will sit down with you for free and help you with this process. One of our partners with the Free Library, they have a great business department that helps with market research. So you can find out, like, what are the other businesses even in my area, drill down to the street and the block and find out, okay, what is my competition going to be like in this market? And how can I, what do I need to do differently so that I can expand on it? So those are the things that I would say to the business starting. Do your research, get that knowledge base. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Excellent. Excellent. Tyrell, same thing to you. What would you recommend someone start doing if they want to start building generational wealth? And let's break it down, like be really specific on a granular level in terms of you let's say we're talking about a 21-year-old guy, high school graduate, but not necessarily college, has some skills or gifts, was working a day, a 9 to 5, right? But they want to build more. What do you recommend that person do?
Two things: education and network, right? Education, there's a lot of free resources out there. Just like Nicole said, there's a lot of free resources out there in terms of education. There's free webinars. There's things like this, the conversations that we're having. You need to get into those rooms and bring the notebook with you and the pen and the pad and take those notes, ask those questions. And don't be afraid to tell someone what your idea is, right? Tell people what you want to do. Tell people you want to be successful, because other people want that for you. They can't do it for you, but they want it for you. So they can connect you to the resources that you need. Education is everything. Network, like I say, talking to people, finding those groups, the Chamber of Commerce in your local city, wherever you're living, school, if you graduated from a college, or even at your job, the people you work around. Let me tell you something. I found out yesterday, there's a new property that I'm managing temporarily in Wynwood, PA. I was talking to the maintenance guy, the maintenance supervisor, just regular conversation, right? And he asked me, what do I do outside of managed properties? And I said, well, I'm a realtor, and I do some other stuff too. Come to find out, this guy had 13 properties. I would not have known that if we didn't have the conversation. And I'm like, so you're pretty successful. You're working just because you want to. And he said, yeah, if I sat still, I would probably die. This is what he told me. So even if it's your 9 to 5, you need to find people that you can just have a normal conversation with about success, about education, about working, ideas, being an entrepreneur, because there's a lot of other people out there that been through what you're going to go through and beyond. So education and network is key.
I hope folks who are tuning in, we have almost 90 folks who are watching this conversation just here through the registration, and many more through Facebook. And so I'm hoping that folks are taking notes on this, because I don't know if you heard it or not, but I hear a common theme, right? Everyone has said your network equals your net worth, right? And everyone has said educate yourself, because there's a lot of free resources out here. So I think those two things alone are a great way to start. I want to go back to Dr. Jamisa. I want to find out from you. Let's say folks have resources, they are able to start this path of entrepreneurism. From your own experience, tell us, what are some of the major hurdles that you had to overcome when you first go out on this path of entrepreneurship and building generational wealth? What are some things that you ran into early on that you want people to be aware of and maybe help them avoid?
I would say my biggest thing, my biggest struggle was awareness, like my lack of awareness. So I share with you about the nonprofit. It's called WORK. And that's what I built my dissertation around and everything. It stands for wisdom, opportunity, resources, and knowledge. That's what work means. Like, if you ever think about you working on something, it was one of those 4 things, right? And during the time, like, I didn't realize who was a good resource. I didn't realize how to take advantage of opportunities. I did feel afraid. So what I said in the beginning, don't be afraid to step out of the box, and don't be afraid to ask questions that you don't know the answer to. Don't be afraid to be taken advantage of. It's going to happen, but it's a learning curve. So when I first started out, it was like, okay, the only thing that I really had was wisdom. And that just came from the Spirit. Thank God he kept me. Thank God for his grace and mercy. Because I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. But I did have resources once I started to like pray about it and look around me. Because like I said, everything that you need is like right there. Tyrell had a simple conversation with a person, right? In our community, we are told not to talk to strangers. Like, you raise your children and you say, hey, don't talk to strangers. We never talk to them about how to identify strangers. If my kid was in a situation and needed help, I would want them to know if mommy's not around, find an adult to help you, right? So I would never tell my kid not to talk to strangers. I would tell my kid, like, what kind of strangers to avoid, giving them the opportunity to be able to make good decisions. We are raised not to be able to make good decisions. Hey, stay in a child's place. Well, what is my place? I don't know. You didn't teach me. Don't ask me questions. I'm your mom. I said so. I know you said so. I need to know why you said so. So that when it's time for me to make decisions, I know how to say things or to delegate. I need to know how to ask for help. I need to know, like, okay, it's all right not to be able to figure everything out for yourselves. We are raised so independently that it's almost scary. Like, you'll hear people say, hey, it takes a village. It takes a village. And you look around and you realize, I don't have a village. And then when you realize the reasons why you don't have a village, is like we are counterproductive in our communication with the people who are around us. So for me, it was just acknowledging, like, hey, just like there are bad people, there are good people. Some of them are there to help. Also, not taking things really personal, really learning how to chew up the meat and spit out the bones. Everybody is designed in their own way. So their form of communication, how they teach, if they choose to teach, these are all things that are embedded in that specific person. But you can still find a lesson in all of those communications, even the ones that are not so pleasant. You have to make it a point to learn, right? Sometimes things don't go our way. I'm speaking personally. Sometimes things didn't go my way, and I took it very personal. Oh, you don't want to work with me. Even down to selling a house. I told you guys I sold it for $150. I was super excited at 19 until I found out I was supposed to sell it for $350, right? And it would have been easy for me to say, uh-oh, I'm in above my head. What did I do? Somebody took advantage of me. I made it a point to learn what went wrong, right? Because you can have resources. If you don't know they're there, it doesn't matter. If you don't educate yourself, right, that knowledge piece on how to utilize your resources, because everything is not about money. As a matter of fact, money comes last. When you're talking about success, money is always the last things to come, in my opinion, right? You're going to have connections at first. You're going to, learn different atmosphere and get into certain spaces. You're going to figure out how things work. You're literally lining up your puzzle pieces. And then true success comes when you're able to put it all together to form the bigger picture. So yeah, just being aware of what really is around you. Like, you may see poverty, right? Think about, okay, how did it get like this? Can I do some affordable housing? All right, what can I do to change the dynamic? How can I insert myself to be more a part of the solution than to be a victim of just the problem in itself?
But that's major. Well, first of all, can we get an amen, right? Does anybody like want to hallelujah on that? The reality is that no, first of all, you spoke a word, but the reality is that yes. But I actually see some comments in the chat around what can we do? How do you instill that kind of self-confidence? Like you said, as a child, we're often told to just do as we're told, right? Without questioning. So we often aren't provided answers. We aren't provided information. And many of us make it into adulthood without knowing how to seek out information and how to trust others. How do we, and this is about to turn into therapy a little bit. So
I was
Tyrell
literally going to say, to answer your question, rebuild yourself, and you really have to repurpose your pain. Like, we all have trauma, we all have pain. Like, I'm a sexual abuse survivor. As a child, I was molested. There was so many things that could have turned me into a statistic, right? I used it as an opportunity to avoid. So first things first, you can never have a testimony without the test. And if you are stuck in a pit of just looking at, okay, this happened to me, I am a victim, you are literally stripping yourself from the opportunity to be victorious. That's point blank, period. If you been subjected to anything that you didn't like growing up, or misfair treatment, or just feeling alone, that was something you had no control over. But the moment that you become an adult, you have a choice. So you can choose the opposite, or you can succumb to, whatever your story was. Once you have the opportunity to change the narrative, well, it's fair game after that. It's a blank canvas. You can create the life you want after that. It's like, if you do yourself the disservice of learning, asking questions, branching out, you are literally no better than your oppressors. Because, right, they held you down. You didn't have a choice. But now you're holding yourself down. That is your choice. So just go to therapy. Yes, I have a therapist. This is super amazing. I went to school for psychology first because I wanted to learn, like, what is wrong with people? That was my first thing. So I went to college in 2012 and I studied psychology. I said, how does the brain work? Because some of these people's brain is broke. Like, I needed to know what was going on. And then taking that time for yourself, like self-awareness is key. When you have a true, authentic, relationship with yourself, it's easier for you to look at the world for what it is. Because it is what it is. Like, no matter what people are going to tell you, reality is reality. It doesn't come in too many colors.
Yeah.
So
let me jump in real quick. I want to give Nicole and Tyrell an opportunity to jump in, because you've said a lot, but I want to see if there's any consensus or anything that either Tyrell or Nicole wants to add to that. Either one of you guys.
Man, I just love what she's saying. She's saying some really great things. I would only add to that, just become your own cheerleader. You need to cheer yourself on first. So as you're building yourself, building your confidence, breaking down what those pains and hurts are and overcoming and going through the healing process, start to cheer yourself on. And that's how you start to get other people excited about you. That's how you start to draw other people in. And then also just, again, really taking that time to build your tribe, build your community. If it starts in your family, great. If it starts outside of your family, that's okay too. Not being afraid to even, tap into resources that, people that don't look like you. Because sometimes, depending on the industry or whatever it is, they might be more readily open to helping you than some others. So just really opening yourself up and being your own cheerleader first is what I would add.
Yeah. Tyrell, you want to chime in on this?
I would like to really speak on procrastination and just not starting. That's the biggest thing for a lot of people. They don't know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, so they never do it. And literally, Nike says just do it. It's the slogan, but literally with everything in life, if you want to be successful, just start. It doesn't matter where you start, just start, and then get yourself to a point where you can create consistency, right? And then hold yourself accountable. That's bigger than anything. If you can hold yourself accountable, you're going to be successful, straight up. If you can hold yourself accountable and write down your goals, don't just talk about it, but write it down, have it in front of you. You have to see it to believe it. It's like a brand new car. You buy a car, you see that same car everywhere. If you speak about something and you want it bad enough, you're going to see it. I want to be the best realtor in Philadelphia. I'm going to go find every real estate agent that's the best in Philadelphia, and I'm going to see what they're doing. I'm going to open up their book and read their pages and find out what can I pull out of that will work for me. And then not only am I going to do it, I'm going to do it on a consistent basis and put my best foot forward every single day. I'm always going to want to outdo myself. And you have to put that first, for real.
Well, you may have touched on this, but I really want to go back. I want to take one step back and dive in a little deeper, because you said the A word, right? You said accountability. And I think we use that word in our communities a lot, but do we really know what accountability means? So what do you mean when you say accountability? What is that? What does accountability look like when you talk about being accountable to yourself?
If you say you're going to do something, do it. It shouldn't take someone else to tell you to do it. If I say I'm going to get up tomorrow at 6 a.m. and I'm going to hit that gym, I have to do it. I have to, right? If I say I have to make 50 calls today, right, so that I can reach out to my sphere of influence or my clientele, I have to hold myself accountable. I have to make sure that I do it. Just like you get up in the morning and you brush your teeth. That's the first thing you do. It's second nature. You have to hold yourself accountable for your own skill set. Whatever it is that you want to do, whether you're in sales, you're in real estate, you're in fashion, you're in retail, if you have a certain goal, you have to hold yourself accountable to make sure that you're actually getting it done. And track your results. Track your progress over time. I write down how many calls I make a day, how many emails I send a day, whether it's a CRM or on a notepad, doesn't matter. That's how you hold yourself accountable. And you have to be true to yourself. That's the biggest thing too. I'm gonna leave it after this. Don't lie to yourself. Results will show the harder you work. It's like going to the gym. You work out, right? And you do 5 push-ups. You're not going to see the results. You have to be consistent, hold yourself accountable. I'm going to make sure that I do it. And the more you do that, you'll start to see the results that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for wrapping up on that note. Because I was going to say, there's a lot of people out here that don't brush their teeth every day, right? So it's not. So how do you create that habit, right? Like I know what you mean, but again, you know, what you ended on, this idea of going to the gym. Speak a little bit more, and maybe I want to hear also from Nicole, but Tyrell, you could start. Speak a little bit more about what the process of starting does for consistency and accountability, because a lot of people don't do that. Matter of fact, someone in the chat said, you know, I have a hard time. I spend a lot of time in my head, right? I've had to get out of my mind. It was too late for me. We oftentimes we tell ourselves a story, or maybe more accurately, closer to what Dr. Jamisa was saying, is that when we're young, we hear stories, we're told stories over and over again. And as we get older, we internalize that. So how do you, when you've been told that you're no good, or when you haven't been seeing yourself represented in the fields that you've dreamed about, or something that a friend of mine and I talk about regularly is we oftentimes, and here in our community, people will say, oh, so you think you smart, huh? You think, what makes you think you could do that thing, right? We hear this negativity. It's part of our culture and a community. How do you start the process? Like once you get to the gym, how do you make that first step in order to be accountable? Because it's easy to say, oh, just be accountable. Give me like a practical idea in terms of how do you start that process?
First and foremost, for anything that you want to do, you have to identify what your why is. What is your reason behind the fact that you want a six pack? What is your reason behind the fact that you want to be the top investor, or you want to be the best in your field, in your job? Because not everyone's an entrepreneur. Some people work hard at their job and they're great at their jobs and they want to keep their jobs. That's fine. But why do you want it, right? And when you can identify your why, it would make your reasoning and your efforts that much easier, because you identified your truth. You identified where you want to go, and you have to set smart goals. You literally have to set up smart goals where it's attainable so that you don't psych yourself out. And whoever that gentleman is, or that woman that said they're in their own head, that's a good thing. You know why? They identified a part of their problem. And when you can identify a part of your problem, it's like a mechanic. You're going to fix it. You want to fix it. You know it's inside you. It's embedded. And if you can't hold yourself accountable, find someone that will. Get into those circles, meet those people, shake those hands. I'll hold you accountable. If you want my number, I already put it in the chat. I'll put it in there again. Let's hold each other accountable.
Accountability, yes. There is a thing called an accountability partner, right? You can always find somebody that wants to do good for themselves as well. And if you can just make that agreement and have an accountability partner. Nicole, I want to come to you and pivot a little bit to your work with the Commerce Department, right? Because Tyrell just kind of dropped a bunch of gems in terms of process, right? How to get started. What are some of the services that the Commerce Department has for entrepreneurs who are just getting started? How do you help people begin to take that first step, whether it's about accountability or whether it's the process of actually just doing? What are some things that you can suggest or recommend that the Commerce Department offers, and anything else that you want to share just personally about getting started?
Okay. That was a lot. What everybody said was amazing. And I think I kind of wanted to add to what Tyrell said, in that you really need to learn yourself. You need to learn your strengths and your weaknesses. Sometimes we always focus on the strengths, but you also need to focus on like finding out and identifying what those weaknesses are, so that you can begin to build them, so that you don't stay in that. They don't have to remain weaknesses. You can work on them so that you can build them up and they can actually shift and possibly become strengths. But really identifying and knowing yourself is really important. So I just wanted to add that. But I also, for the Commerce Department, what we'll do is, like, say you're just starting off, you come to us, hey, how can you help me out? I have this idea for this business. Well, the first thing we want to tell you is to start with your business plan. And I believe I mentioned that earlier, but we can connect you with resources like there's the SCORE organization. They'll set you up with a free business mentor who is actually already in your industry, who will assist you and sit down and talk with you about, what your plans are, what you want to do moving forward, share how they've been benefiting in that industry as well. And they'll sit down and help you with writing out the full business plan. So that's just one resource, as I mentioned. BRIC as well, they also help with marketing research. Our commerce department, we have a couple of different programs for storefront businesses. So if you have a storefront and you want to beautify the front of the business, adding windows, updating the doors, just making it more appealing, curb appeal, we have a program that's a reimbursement program. So it's called the Storefront Improvement Program. You would apply for it. It's for business, certain businesses on corridors, but you can get between 10,000 and 15,000 of 50% reimbursement between $10,000 and $15,000 for that. You can apply right online. Again, our website, you can find everything through phila.gov/commerce. But that's just one program. Another program we have is a security camera program. Works the same as the storefront improvement program, but it's so that you can get cameras on the outside of your building to help with security. It's up to $3,000 reimbursement for the process. You fill out a simple application, and if you qualify, you'll be able to get that money back for getting the cameras for your business. And it also, that program requires that you connect with the police department so that if there is a crime or a situation, you know, they'll be able to connect to get your camera so that they can see that video for help. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a couple of different loan programs that are available. And yeah, I won't go into all the details because I don't want to take all the time, but yeah.
No, I mean, but it's great that you have these resources. And just so you know, you got a whole squad in the chat who are dropping links, like telling us how great the Commerce Department is, making sure we get your title right and the department you work in right. So a lot of supporters here and a lot of people who have utilized those services, which I think is it's in it of itself a testimony to how great this service is, and not enough people know about it. So again, this is the reason why Office of Black Male Engagement, in collaboration with the Mayor's Commission on African American Males, has put together this Black Generational Wealth series. And so what you're seeing tonight is the third out of 4 episodes, 4 issues, 4 conversations around creating Black generational wealth. So I want to kind of touch on, I love what you were saying, Nicole, about the business plan, right? You talked about that twice. And I want to lead into a little bit, I'll come back to you and ask you a little bit more about the business plan specifics, but I want to go to Dr. Jamisa, because what came to my mind as we're talking about a business plan, and I've been an entrepreneur, I've ran my own business for over 10 years, I know about a business plan. But Jamisa, there was something in our conversation that made me think about the importance of having a life plan. And you talked about your grandmother and how your grandmother put your name on that deed. Can you talk to us a little bit more about what you feel like your grandmother's plan was for not only her home, but for you and for her family?
So funny story, how she got the house. It was a dollar house from like, Lord knows how long ago. They did it, but Section 8 used to have like a program where you got a dollar house. I think she originally set out just to survive, right? That is what that generation was taught. You work hard, you go to school, you get a house. So they did believe in ownership, but I don't think they saw past just primary residence type of ownership. So when she started out, literally, she said, hey, this is the family house. This is all we have. If anybody ever needs a place to live, I want somebody to be able to come to this house. I don't want you guys to argue over it. She gave me a bunch of like contradicting rules. This is literally like 4 of them. And I was like, I don't know if I can, I don't
like
know.
What?
Yes, a lot of stuff. So she said that anybody who needed a place to go could come there, but they had to pay me rent. I'm 19. They're not paying me. They're not even paying me mine. They're not gonna pay me any money. She also said she didn't want people arguing over it. And literally, lack of education causes controversy. So everybody feels like they got the best idea, but they don't know because it's just an idea. It's not until you start to act on those ideas or attempt to act on those ideas that you realize that it's not as easy as you thought it would be. And, you know, I experienced a lot of those things. So these were all some of the bad or downsides of acquiring that property. So, you know, originally she just wanted me to hold on to it. Hey, this is all we have. Don't lose it, because she was afraid. So she held it tight. But one of the things that I learned from more like wealthy people is that investing is what makes you grow, not holding on to things. It's almost impossible to hold on. Like one of the most valuable things we have in this world is breath, right? Life. Imagine holding your breath because you need it, right? You need it. You don't have breath, you die. Imagine trying to hold your breath though. That's how I think about money. You holding on to it so much because, oh my God, if I need it, I want to have it. I want to have it. But the only way to really have it work out in the world and grow for you is to let it go. Breathe. That's how you live. You breathe. So when I'm teaching these exercises and I'm having these conversations with people, I'm letting them know, hey, strategic investing is key to growth, life planning and education. So just like going back a little bit, I didn't have to sell her house, but I didn't know. I didn't know about equity. I didn't know that I could take out a loan. I didn't know about hard money. I didn't know about credit. I didn't know about business credit. I didn't know about anything. So just to piggyback off of what Tyrell said, in the very beginning of it, if I could have done everything different, I would have gave myself the opportunity to learn first. And I feel like a lot of us, we move off the basic necessity to survive. Like you have something and we feel like we got to hurry up and, get something done with it because we're used to being against the clock. We're used to being rushed through life. We're used to not really having time to make decisions because our back is always against the wall. But one thing that I learned is you should never do what you have to do. Like every time I've ever heard that saying, bad stuff followed it. Like if you're doing what you have to do, it's desperate. You're making a desperate move. You never gave yourself time to actually figure out. You didn't look at the best case scenario and worst case scenario. You didn't give yourself any alternate options. You're just doing this because you feel like you have to. Making pressure decisions are terrible. That's why most people who make a shot at the buzzer, they usually miss it. The top players, and they still standardly miss it. There's so much pressure on you. You got to get it done. So I would say like what her plan was literally like survive. Hey, I struggle. I don't want my family to be able to struggle. And the only thing that I did was take that dream and idea and I expanded on it. All right, grandma, so maybe that one house, everybody couldn't live in it anyway. Now I have 28 properties and I have a hotel. If anybody needed somewhere to live, God forbid, all at the same time, I would hate having them all in one place. I'm not gonna lie, but I have a place. I have a place for them to go. And I think that was more so just my millennial instincts, right? We're young and reckless anyway by nature. So it's like, well, what's the worst case scenario? What's gonna happen? What's the worst that can happen? And when you think about life that way, it gives you time. I feel like we take life way too serious sometimes. It's like, listen, either you're gonna live or you're gonna die. Right? And nobody knows exactly when they'll pass away, but that still is a luxury because you can plan it out, stretch it out a little bit, give yourself time to set goals. You literally have to make room for error as well. Listen, every day is not going to be a good day. I don't care how much money you make. As a matter of fact, when you get into like the 1% that everybody is coveting, it gets worse, way worse. You got taxes. You have the obligation tax that people call it. That money that you got to give to your cousin just because they know you have it. And if you say, no, you're a bad person, we have that type of thing. And we have to deal with, our counterparts not quite accepting us at first, right? Because they're not used to seeing certain people acquire wealth. So when they see you, it's always like a judgment thing. Oh, what is she doing here? Well, I am here to make a difference. Nice to meet you, right? So you literally have to give yourself time to fail. That's it, right? Because the growth is inevitable. Once you fail, you know what you did wrong. So clearly you know how to get it right next time. You have to give yourself time to fail. You have to give yourself the opportunity. You have to know. Like I know the worst thing in the world is to get something wrong for us. Like we're teased off and we call stupid, we call dumb. People are looking for us to get it wrong, right? So look for it too. It's coming, right? But just change how you look at failure. Just change we look at it like it's the worst thing in the world. I look at it like it's a cheat sheet. Like if I get this wrong right now, at least I could get the answer to how to figure it out, the right way. So, I think her plan was literally just to survive. So I did a little bit of surviving at first, but I used those tools that she gave me and then the resources I acquired after it. And I realized that thriving takes equal energy. So I might as well do that. It's going to be hard work either way.
Wow. You said a mouthful, and I thank you for what you shared because you just remind me of so many different things. It's the concept of failing fast. Failing fast is a business concept that was introduced. I don't know who coined the phrase, but it's been around for a while, and understanding that if you fail fast, you're saving yourself, you're learning, right? but you're saving yourself from stretching out that painful experience, like you said, that you already know is coming. Failure comes. I talk to my children about this all the time. For those of you who are parents, you know this, right? There's a lot of kids, you're trying to get them to do their homework, or you're trying to get them to take a test, and they're just wringing their hands and gritting their teeth, and they just, I don't know it. I don't know it. Well, you know what? You go to school because you don't know. Like, the whole purpose of school is to teach you what you don't know. If we expected you to know before you got there, we'd just send you to get your PhD and you'd be done with it, right? The process of learning is inherently tied to failure. Growth is tied to failure and pressure. So thank you for that. I'm telling you, I don't even know where to go from that. But Tyrell, let me see. I see you over there shaking hands and snapping fingers and stuff. Jump in on this in terms of this idea of planning your life, right? We're talking about, Nicole set us up with the understanding of a business plan. And Nicole, I'm going to come back to you and dig down into that business plan a little bit more. But Tyrell, tell us a little bit more about that intersection between the business plan and the life plan, right? You told us about holding ourselves accountable, right? You told us about getting to the gym, but what does that look like when you're actually planning it out for yourself, and how do you go about that process?
I just had a son, he's 4 months. And the very first thing that I told my wife was, let's set him up with a account. Not just any account, but a account that grows over time, something that will protect him, something that he can tap into later down in life. So I created an IUL for him, an Index Universal Life account, right? Where pretty much we start now investing into his future. And it's a money account. There's some health benefits there as well. It's insurance too. And pretty much what you're doing is, while he's young, you're investing in an account. It's growing. And say when Nolan gets 18, my son, he turns 18, he decides he wants to take money out for, I don't know, real estate, right? Or school or anything. He has that in place, right? Start establishing his credit young, right? I want to make him an authorized user on my top credit card, so that when he's 18 years old, he has a 700 or a 800 credit score, like some of my clients that's only 17 years old or 18 years old, right? And they never lived on their own, but they got perfect credit and some money in the bank, right? So when you say, setting your life up, that you have to go beyond today. You have to look forward to the future and tomorrow, right? And there's so many financial experts out there that will just feed you knowledge, right? They'll pull you into webinars like this, they might try to sell you, but the biggest thing is they have more knowledge than I do, right? Than the average person does. So get with those people, talk to them, pick their brains, find out what other people are doing for their kids, and you can do the same thing for yourself, right? Why wouldn't I set myself up with an IUL or a 401k or a retirement plan, right? If I'm going to do it for my kid, I have to do it for me too, because I have to set the example, right? And that's a part of it. So at the end of the day, you weren't taught this as a kid, but you can pick it up and you can implement it in your future and your success. So
beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that motivation. I just want to add to what you're sharing. Folks in the chat are really loving and appreciating what you guys are saying. Folks of Antoine shared that there's a great book called Failing Forward by John Maxwell. Yes, John Maxwell, some great information. Miss Booker says, Jasmine, you are so unique for your age. She says, I was there in the 70s, 19, 20 years old. Keep teaching and learning. In fact, all of you keep doing what you're doing. You're making a difference. God bless you. So yes, someone asked a question, can you put a child as an authorized user? And that's kind of what you were just saying, right? I don't know if it's technically an authorized user, but by adding their name to that account, along with their social security number, right? That starts feeding their credit. Tyrell, right? Yes. Someone said, yes, 12 years and older. Nicole, I want to come back to you because what I'm trying to do here, I didn't know this was going to turn into church, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to have Sunday school, right? Because we're going to get some preaching, but we also want some lessons, right? And so I want to come back to you in terms of the Commerce Department and specifically the business plan. Can you walk us through or tell us some of the parts that go into a business plan, or what should entrepreneurs be thinking about as they are building a business plan? What goes into a business plan so people can start building their future and thinking about these individual pieces in order to hold themselves accountable and move forward, as your other panelists have said?
Sure. I would think one of the things Tyrell touched on it when he was speaking earlier is knowing your why. So your why should be part of your business plan. Why am I doing this? What is my product or service that I'm putting out there? And get as full into the description as you want to go. Where, like, how far do you want this to go? Do you want it to start where you want it to start, and then where do you see it going in the next 3 to 5 years? How do you think the ways that you'll want to expand it? What are your full products and services that you're going to be putting out there? Market analysis, doing the research and finding out, what is the market for this product? What is the need or demand for this product? Or how am I providing this product or service that, no one else has out there, but there's a niche for it, or a untapped into market that I see the need, but I can fulfill it, that thing. Also, strategy and implementation. How are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? How are you making, or if you're making a product, how am I making it? How much manpower is it going to take for me to make this product? Do I need someone else to help me with this? How much is the cost, the financial planning portion of it? People don't always put as much time as they need to into that portion. What is this going to cost me to make each of these products? And even when it comes to like shipping, a lot of people are doing online and in-home based businesses. Like, you need to drill all of that down and find out what that financial projections are going to look like. Because even when it comes to, what I find is that when it comes to getting ready for loan applications, we don't have the knowledge base. We don't understand what needs to go into that process for the loan. So you're not even loan ready, but you want to go and sit in front of a loan officer, and then you wonder why you got rejected because you didn't do the research to find out what you needed to do and prepare for that loan process. So making sure that you think about those things in totality, and like Tyrell said, writing it down, having it written down. A written business plan is always better than just having the idea in your head, because can't nobody see it in your head but you. So you need to have it written down. And like I said, our office has the resources to help you with getting all of the tools, all of those pieces of the puzzle together. We do that one-on-one help, so that we can and connect you to the resources so that you can have that full, complete business plan together as you're moving forward. And always leave room for changes. What you're writing down doesn't have to be set in stone. This is just the plan, but you can alter the plan. You might have to pivot the plan and change it. So just keeping all of that in mind.
No, excellent. Yes, because you could always change the plan, right? But you can't follow the plan if it's not written down, right?
Exactly.
If you're relying on your memory for all the things that you want to do in order to build generational wealth, you're not going to build very much, because the reality is that it takes all of these different components. And something that you guys have inspired me to really reflect on is in my work with Black men and boys across the city, and as a former entrepreneur, I've come across this challenge many times, and often it just exists too much in our community. What I find is that there are a lot of people who talk about wanting to start a business. There are a lot of people who talk about wanting to be an entrepreneur and opening up a business. But oftentimes what I find is that people are really only chasing money. People are only really chasing money. And I think it goes back to what Dr. Jamisa was saying as well about the insecurity, the fight for survival. How can we get our young people to think differently about what it means to be an entrepreneur and to start a business? What are some ways that we can change the narrative so that securing the bag is no longer the goal. And what other goals would you suggest folks pursue in order to get on the road of building generational wealth? And this is for anyone who wants to answer. Tyrell, I see Tyrell put his hand up.
I had this conversation with my colleague last week, and he may be on this call. His name's Angel. But anyway, me and Angel, we got to talking, and he was like, I just want to make $250,000 this year. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? You know, why? Why is it all about the money? You know? And at the end of the day, I know people that make 3 times, 4 times, 10 times as much as I make, and they're not happy. So realistically, when it comes to you being an entrepreneur, you starting a business or working in one, you have to identify what makes you happy, right? What makes me happy is my family, right? And another thing too, I work for my family before I work for a job, you know, right?
What does that mean?
My family's my why. I work for my family before a job. I put them first. My time with my family is everything. My son comes first. My wife comes first. My mother. I cannot let work, right? The stresses of having to be in 10 different places at one time affect my home balance, right? Because your home is your sanctuary, right? For everyone that's God-fearing and they go to church and things, right? Your home is your sanctuary. Your home is everything for you, right? And you have to build that up. The foundation has to be strong. So you work for your family before you work for anyone else, including your entrepreneurship, your job, your business you're trying to create, right? You cannot make it all about the money, because if you're chasing the dollar, at the end of the day, when you die, that money's not going with you, right? But you can set it up so that it stays with your family, right? Right. And to Dr. Jamisa, she was talking about when you pass away earlier, you know, at the end of the day, you can set yourself up so that when you pass away, you have that life insurance on deck, right? You don't have to worry about your family throwing fish fries and all that to try to pay for your funeral, right? Right. So my thing is, at the end of the day, it can't be all about the money, because if you're constantly chasing the money, there is no reason behind that, right? You can buy something, but it's not going to make you happy. What's going to make you happy is enjoyment of life, enjoyment, flexibility, right? Having that time with your loved ones, creating a future that you want, you know, not having to be a burden to yourself, right? It's big. It's bigger than a dollar.
I see you. I see Dr. Jamisa came off of a mute when I was going to actually come to you because he said the word insurance, but I want to hear what you had to say before I ask that question.
Because that was like one heck of a question. Just realizing the value of money. Like, I mean, oh my God, it probably sounds so terrible, but money really is nothing if you think about it. If you have $1 million and you spend it, you don't have any more money. But if you have 1 million resources, you can't lose it, right? There's an old saying, and people say, like, money doesn't grow on trees. Well, it does. Money is paper. Paper is tree. So you plant a seed first. You have to go for where your purpose is. I think Ms. Tillman, she did a really good job just explaining the processes of what it means to build a sustainable company. And a lot of those processes require just discipline, really strict. Hey, this is why I'm doing it, and this is how I'm going to do it. And like she said, looking for the outcome of it. I have a thing that's called like the GPS, and we decide where you want to go. We decide where you're starting from, and that's the only way that you're going to get there. Like if you tell Siri, hey, I want to go somewhere, and she's like, well, where do you want to go? Oh, I don't know. Okay, well, she can't tell you to start here and turn right, you know, or to turn left. So money, it's really not that deep. Like you can make money. People make money. If you are the right type of person, you'll even be able to attract money. But what are you going to do? You're just going to spend it? You're going to pay all those taxes to be rich just to spend it on somebody else's generational wealth? Because I tell people all the time, we are all components of the generational wealth challenge. We are either on one side or the other. And that's really, really what's important. And I feel like that's super duper necessary. So when you say, how do we tell a person like to stop chasing a bag? Realize that if anything is running from you, if you have to chase it, then it's not for you. God is not the author of confusion. Obedience is greater than sacrifices in all things. People will look at me and say, oh, you had a house, you sold it, it was great. Lord knows how many like times I had to just do what God told me to do when I was afraid. I'm like, sell a house? Like, sell the only house we got? Then you hear her, God, she said this all we got. You telling me to sell it right now? Okay. You telling me buy another house? I don't know how to do this. You want me to go to real estate school? I don't be a doctor? What? PhD? Why? Like, I dropped out of school at first. You get what I'm saying? These are all things that were just me listening to God. Because not every day is a good day. You're not going to always be motivated. You're not going to always be able to have a Zoom link to click onto and to be fed information. But you have to make it a sustainable manner so that you can keep going no matter what. Plant those seeds for yourself. And it's not all about you. If your wealth stops with you, if your legacy stops with you, then that's no legacy at all. And then how do you love people, right? If you bust your behind and you work super hard and you die and the people you love have to do the same thing, how does that make sense? Or how do you love a person where you're doing all of these crazy things and you pass away and we have to fry fish? You know how long fish grease linger? That's not fair, y'all. Come on. We got fry. Now I got to get popped with fish grease because you made bad choices. That's not okay. Especially when you just learn, like you said an amazing thing, Tyrell, and congratulations on you guys' newborn. But yes, life insurance, have plans, understand the ways of the wealthy. Literally, there is a life benefit to life insurance. Can you imagine? Can you imagine somebody dying? And I don't mean to be like stereotypical, but usually where we're from, most people die over money. It's violence. That's it. You're dying, you got shot, you like was trying to take something that wasn't yours, or you were like selling some type of narcotic. You were doing something merely just to survive. Well, just imagine you getting life insurance, which you clearly are going to need anyway, you know, given the path that you could be on. And you using a life benefit, you becoming your own bank with like infinite banking policies. Dude, there's so much stuff you can learn in a book. Where is a book? I don't know where. Oh, here it is. See, I'm in my office. I read. I practice what I preach. I don't just say it because it sounds cool. This is the private. I can't. Is it? Oh, the background. It's the private banking blueprint for anybody that's here. This is written by an African American, Jake Taylor Jacobs, and he talks about infinite banking. He talks about it. You can put a certain amount in. I have a few whole life dividend paying policies between myself and my husband. So not only are we leaving them opportunity, we're also leaving them resources to go with it, because God forbid you leave your child a bunch of money and they don't know what to do with it. God forbid, like you set your kid up. Tyrell said, hey, I'm giving him the money. He could buy a house. He could go to college, but I'm sure he's going to instill in that baby, hey, this is your options. You got to know what to do with this stuff. You have to know how to move those pieces around on the board. So yeah, I'm just grateful for being amongst some amazing panelists, because like as Nicole's talking, I'm like breakdancing on this. Like, she said it. She said it, because we have a bad idea of what success looks like. Like we are looking at influencers on Instagram, which is why I hate that people call me an influencer, because no, yes, I do have the opportunity to influence and impact, but what most people see right now is fancy cars, balloon-shaped bodies, a bunch of jewelry that doesn't matter, right? But if you think about the Rolex that you are looking at your influencer wear, or if you're thinking about the Gucci bag and the Chanel bag that you're watching them dressing, you're completely missing the part that Gucci is a family. Mm-hmm. Chanel is a brand based off of family. Rolex is cool, but whose name is on your arm, right? You're looking at just enough, right? That's what a person will look at success as. I'm trying to figure out how I can get people to buy a watch with my name on it. Like I want you to wear a Jamisa X. Okay, I don't know if that's catchy enough, but wear a Dr. Bennett bag and really just instilling that into our generations coming up. Like in order for you to understand the value of money, you have to know the value of yourself, because getting money is not important as what you need to do to get it. So yeah, please don't be out here chasing money. Please don't be chasing nothing that's running. That's scary. Yeah. That can get you in some trouble. Don't be chasing nothing that's running after you. I mean, that's running away from you. No, you do what you're called to do. You do what you're ordained to do. God doesn't make mistakes. He put us all here. We are all wonderfully made. Y'all need to read the Bible. I want to read a good business book. Read the Bible. I'm telling you, life changer.
Yes, that's it.
That's good.
That's it. There's a whole, you can read Leviticus. There's a whole bunch of lessons in there. Yeah, look, she's like, yeah, I've read the Bible. I know what I'm talking about a little bit. I may be a little bit of a heathen, but you know, I know a little something. But the reality is, yes, don't chase, like people are chasing money. And so I want to also like bring this back around, right? Because we also don't want to, and this is for the elders who are watching, right? The older folks, my age and older, people who have a tendency to talk about young folks, like young folks don't do this and young folks don't do that. And y'all need to get, and y'all need to do. The reality is our community hasn't been teaching the babies. We haven't been teaching the younger ones the importance of living through your work or living through your gifts, as it says. Again, Jamisa probably could say it better than I can, but your gifts will make a way, right? There's a lot of quotes in the Bible about how your gifts will make ways for you, make room for you, will lead you in front of those who are considered elders or leaders, right? And so because we're so busy chasing the money, because the money will provide, like she said, the balloon bodies. I'm cracking up about that. But we're chasing cars and bags. Those things are just dressing to make ourselves feel better because we haven't been poured into and we haven't built ourselves up from the inside out, right? And so we have a community that's chasing after the image, right? And instead of chasing after the thing, like the bag, the car, the Instagram famous, how can we begin to create value in other people's lives? Because that's really what a business is, right? I think there's something in there. Nicole, you talked about this when you talked about the business plan. Part of a business plan is you being able to tell anyone reading that business plan, likely an investor, right? What is the value that you are going to be giving to other people by creating this business? And I think if we are able to understand that we have talents and we have gifts, and those gifts are the things that will then add value to other people's lives. And oh, by the way, people will pay us for the value that we provide to them. That is, I think, the route to entrepreneurship and building generational wealth. But I don't want to preach to y'all. I think we got enough, sermons going on here. Nicole, was there anything? I know that was a lot, right? But anything you want to add in terms of that piece, right? Because I think what Tyrell and Dr. Jamisa talked about a little bit, right? They touched on in life insurance. They talked about these things that can build equity. What are some things that your work through the Commerce Department talks to other entrepreneurs about wealth and equity? Is there something that you can do with your business or something they should know in terms of business structure, like business planning? How are you going to do exit strategies? What are some things that you would say that, business owners need to know or need to think about in relation to building wealth with their business structure? I know that was a lot.
Really good question. That was a hefty question. Can I think about that for a minute? Can we come back?
Think about that. And anyone can jump in here because as a matter of fact, this is a good time. I want to take a step back because I'm doing a disservice. Renice Dent actually asked a question almost an hour ago. She put a question in the Q&A, but we got to rolling and we kind of went off on a whole nother thing. But this is specifically about real estate and commercial real estate. So the question that she asked was, how can we find companies that offer loans for commercial property without collateral? Now, I don't know if you can get a loan specifically for a commercial property without collateral. I don't know if too many loans you can get without any collateral. But the question is, how can we find companies that offer loans for commercial property without collateral? Anybody want to tackle that?
Here's an easy answer. Google. I'm so serious.
I know you're serious, but let's be a little more specific. What is the query that you want to type into Google? Like what should they be looking for specifically?
Commercial lenders, right? That's the first thing you want to type in, commercial lenders, and then realtors. Some of us have access to lenders directly. In my office, I have a lending company. I have a hard money lender in my office. At the end of the day, the connections are there. So, get with me. I can help you find what you need and utilize Google.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I was gonna say the same thing. Even in terms of the infinite banking, I became a hard money lender, which is wild because I used to broker for a ton of them. But before you guys go out borrowing money, Set the plan first. I feel like a lot of people make the money the priority. The money is not the priority. You don't go around borrowing money from people if you're not going to put it to good use. So, okay, you want a commercial space. Are you prepared for like the triple net taxes? How is your leasing going to be? What are you going to use this commercial space for? What does your overhead look like? Are you going to file your taxes as an S corp? Which you should. This is not tax advice, but yes, make yourself an S corp. Put yourself on payroll. Getting money is easy when you are worthy of it. You got to look good on paper first. You can find money anywhere. There's a lot of people who's depending on banks and depending on loans and being subjected to interest rates when you don't have to. If you have a good business plan, there's people who will invest in you. There's a lot of private investors, angel investors. I was once one until I realized y'all didn't call Nicole first. Y'all didn't have a business plan. People were calling me like, I want to do a car wash. Okay, where you going to set up shop? Your mobile car wash. Okay, how are you going to market? Because the best thing to think about is the ROI, which is the return on investment. Don't focus on the investment first. Think about the return on the investment. Because any person that's going to give you money, whether it be a person, just a single entity as myself, or whether it be a corporation such as like just a lender or like a private lender, they want to know when they're getting their money back. And they want to know how long it's going to take. In real estate, we call it a cap rate, right? It takes up different names depending on the space that you're in. But we'll give you the money. Just how do you plan on getting it back to us? How long is that going to take, right? And then that's how you build relationships. So like getting the money, I want to focus on that first. Because like Tyrell said, it's as simple as just Googling who does this. I offer financing, financing at Rosebud Investments. We do commercial loans, construction loans. We do refinance loans. We do purchase loans, purchase and rehab loans. However, what are we lending you money for? Because I'm not one of those people that's going to throw you the money just to foreclose on you. I have no desire to do that. I want to see you grow. So the best way to be prepared for that is for you to outline, like literally take heed to the things you're learning on this call. You can get the money, but what are you going to do with it when you get it? Because everybody here, they think money is like an answered prayer. And it is not. It can actually dig you into a deeper hole. So you started off with no money, then you borrow somebody else's money, now you owe them. That's worse than being broke. I would rather be broke than to owe a person, because then they own you. Then they're trying to come after you. Talking about collateral, they'll find something to leverage on you. Oh, you don't got no money, give me a car. You don't got no money, give me that Rolex. Like it's insane. So you don't want to get into a situation where you're in debt, right? Because we're talking about freedom. There is no way to be free or financially free if you're bonded by debt. So please be careful. Completely like under leverage all of your stuff. Just for myself, 28 properties, one mortgage on purpose. That one mortgage is intentional and it'll be gone in a little while. But it was about building equity and, getting it together. So guys, learn before you earn. Learn before you earn.
Listen, you use so many great phrases. I really do feel like we need to revisit this conversation and like have a follow-up, because even just the phrase under leverage, right? How many people really understand that? That's not easily digestible if you don't have a financial vocabulary, right? So basically it's understanding like most people over leverage, right? Most people are overextending themselves, right? We think that debt is inevitable, right? And there is such a thing as good debt, right? Because you can build some things with it. But oftentimes we live our lives because we're so in such pursuit of the material thing, right? The material good. We're not looking at, is there an ROI attached to that? What is the return on our investment? As a matter of fact, unfortunately, the way I want to be mindful to stop saying our community, right? Because the fact is that America, the United States, has some of the largest debt in the world. Like American citizens are some of the least saving people in the world, right? So let's just also start to reshape our conversation around what it means to be Black in relation to money, right? We're living in a society that's teaching us bad habits. And oftentimes also because we happen to be on the bottom or lower rung of the ladder, then we're also catching the fallout from a lot of other things as well. But that doesn't mean that we can't learn. And so that's why I really appreciate the fact that you guys are just dropping so many gems here. And it's so much great conversation in the chat. I'm trying to follow what's going on here. And again, if you have any other questions, somebody said this needs to be a master class. Absolutely. 70% of all Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings. Ain't that the truth? And $1,000 ain't gonna get you you can't get anything, right? I think most rental properties nowadays, if you want a 2-bedroom, you are out of luck. Who is this? Nicole says we have partners who can assist with nonprofit organizations. Share this recording with us. Yes, I believe it is going to be available. A part 2 is needed. I think you already answered that question. Let me see. More. Somebody said more money, more problems. Biggie, right? Yes. Hard money is risky made. Have strong plan for quick repayment. Must have a strong plan for Jamisa, do you want to talk a little bit, explain for folks who don't know what hard money is and under, what did you say, under leverage? Explain those two terms for the folks who aren't familiar with them.
Hard money is exactly what it sounds like. It is a very subtle form of extortion. I say that very loosely, of course, but if you are limited to hard money, that means that you don't have substantial like financial background. Either your credit is a little lower or you don't have as much money to put down, and lenders tend to capitalize off of that because they know that you need them. And as a result, you end up paying more. So typically a hard money loan, it's about 13 months. There's interest only payments up front, right? Which is terrible because there's a balloon payment at the end. So that's usually only good for a person who wants to just flip a property really quick. Unless you have the discipline to build your credit up and your financial profile in the middle of you doing all of the work so that you could refinance, which means to pull the equity out to be able to pay them back without losing the asset. But again, it just requires a really strong plan. And under leverage is pretty much just, be in debt for less than what you have access to. Meaning if you have 10 properties, you shouldn't have a loan on all 10 properties. That's another really big misconception when it comes to real estate, especially beginners. They'll hear leverage, use OPM. The rich people say use OPM. They do say that, but when they say use OPM, they're talking about us. We're the other people. They're not talking about going to the banks. They're not, owing a bunch of banks. So much so that if you dive into, like if you guys text that number that I sent to you guys, I'll give you a free link to the private banking class. If you go into the FDIC's website, literally, you can look at every single finance institution that exists. So you can see Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, whatever. You can see all of those banking institutions. You can see what their holdings are, meaning where their money goes. You can see their reserves. You'll see a few billion in real estate, and you'll see almost double that in life insurance. Why would a bank need life insurance? First of all, if you even think about how life insurance was created, it was literally built on the back of newly freed slaves, which is why some of our grandparents still fall victim to having life insurance that they only tap into when someone dies. They have no idea about, the limit benefit. But I say all of that to say, when you understand how money works, that gives you a better chance to be able to use it. Being under leverage means you have more control over your assets. Like if you have a kid and you have 5 properties and all 5 have a mortgage on it and you pass away, you're either doing one or two things, depending on how old your child is and if there's a beneficiary in place. I feel like I'm saying a lot of crazy words.
No,
in a
you're
nutshell,
good.
I was going to say, in a nutshell, if you owe somebody money and you die and you pass those assets down to your kids that still have debt on it, you're passing debt to your children. You're not giving freedom to your children. That's not generational wealth. That's generational debt. So what you want to do is make sure that, I would say it's really hard for me because I literally have almost no debt on purpose. I'll get some credit cards, but I do not like loans at all. Mm-hmm. I would say less than half of your whatever should be indebted to someone else. Like whatever you have, because those free things are now your pawns. You can move them around. So it's like, oh, I can sell this property and get the full value of it without having to pay the $30,000 debt that I have on it. So being over leveraged just means you own more free and clear than you have that has a debt on it. That's
well, Dr. Jamisa, I want to just throw something out there because I appreciate what you were doing when you start looking at like numbers, right? Because it really is important to understand because creditors, right? Let's take a step back because I want to kind of break it down in like layman's terms and start with this idea of hard money lenders, right? Not everybody understands the concept of hard money, but how many of us have heard of a payday loan, right? Payday loans are the bane of the Black community, specifically poorer communities. Why? Because it's a loan that you can receive based on the income that you get, but oftentimes that interest rate is so high, people are making money off of your own money, right? So because you're getting money based on the promise of your paycheck, right? They're raising the interest rate. They're hitting you with such a high interest rate, and the terms are often so restrictive that most people can't even get out of it and then wind up owing more money because of the way the process. That's, now, I don't want to necessarily say that all hard money lenders are like that, because again, it's useful if you have a plan to be able to get out of it quickly, right?
Yeah, well, most hard money lenders are that way. And I only know that because I've done real estate. I'm 28 now, so I started at like 19. I've done different deals, and that's how I had to learn that I didn't really like that. Like I had to realize it. But then I also realized that when you have a relationship with certain hard money lenders and they see that you're really good at what you do, they start to loosen the restrictions. They start to loosen the terms. So in the beginning, it's very predatory. They're planning on you not to get it right so that they can capitalize off of you failing. Oh, this person's not going to pay me back. I'll have a house at the end. Like that's how they are. They won't say that to you, of course, but that's how they're looking at it. Because that's the only reason why if a person is doing like good, they build a relationship. Well, wait a minute. I'm the same person you were just charging 11%. What happened? I'm doing good business. I'm still doing it. But after a while, they see the value in what you can do. They see the value that you bring to them, and the value supersedes them just getting an asset that they don't really want, or that they don't feel like fixing themselves.
Yeah. Thank you for that. You also, when you were talking about, thinking about percentages, a lot of credit bureaus and lenders, especially for those folks who are looking at initial mortgages, there's a debt to income ratio that the folks are looking at, like 30. You can't go over 30 to 35% of your income, right? There's a reason why those numbers exist, because lenders, again, people who are giving you money, want to see your ability to pay back within a timely fashion. And so understanding how you relate and how your numbers fit, I'm just going to be transparent with you. Tyrell mentioned something earlier about credit and having a credit score and setting your children up on your credit accounts so that when they come of age, they actually have a good credit rating. I mean, most of the time we haven't never heard of this or don't really talk about this in our communities, but how many of us have heard the joke about putting the light bill in our baby's name or the cable bill in our child's name, right? So we're hustling backwards, right? Yep. We have these habits that allow us to get over, but like Dr. Jamisa said, it's putting debt on our children to the point where we got to have fish fries in order to make sure that we get a cremation, not even a burial, but a cremation, right? So we really need to practice some more strict and responsible financial management. Anyone else have a question? I want to make sure that we are addressing the concerns in the chat as well, because there's a lot of conversation in the chat, and I really appreciate everything that you shared. Anyone, our panelists, is there anything that you guys want to share that we maybe didn't get a chance to touch on that you want to elaborate on?
I just wanted to mention to everyone that's watching, because there are a lot of links in the chat. One of the links that I dropped in the chat was pertaining to a free real estate school offered by Keller Williams' office. So, rather you're a first-time home buyer or you're looking to get your real estate license, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, this is free schooling. So all the terminology that you need that you can utilize to purchase your first home or help the next person do the same thing, this school is for you. So I would tap into that link. There's also some other resources down there, behavioral services, veteran services, and more. Those links are in the chat. Definitely copy those links, save them on your desktop, visit them later after the call, because these are all free resources literally at your fingertips.
Excellent. And also, I just want to clarify, and this is for OBME, whether or not everyone has the option of saving the chat. I know that when I'm looking at it as a panelist, there are 3 dots at the bottom where we're able to type your message in. So if you click that, it often gives you an option to save a chat. I'm not sure with a webinar if everybody has access to that or not. But if not, I'm assuming that the chat will be available with the recording if you want to go
Yes,
back and visit.
it will
Yeah.
be, Eric. Yep, Subtarshi just put in the chat that we're going to send a recording, a copy of the chat, and everyone's contact information to everyone registered tonight.
Excellent. Thank you. I just want to address, okay, there's a question in the Q&A portion where someone typed, we got to write our own curriculum. Does anyone know how I would be able to do that? Google didn't really bring anything useful up. So I'm not really sure what you mean in terms of writing your own curriculum. But there are a lot of resources. You know, tonight there's a couple of books that were mentioned. And this is for the panelists. Any other resources that you guys want to share with folks? Let's just take a step back and go through, right? Because I know Nicole, the Commerce Department has a plethora of information. You shared earlier about the camera program and the revitalization storefront program. Can you share those again, and also share your contact information? And it's the same for Jamisa and Tyrell. Make sure your contact information is in the chat. But let's go through the resources before we wrap up.
Sure. So we offer the security camera program, which is a reimbursement program. You can get up to $3,000, which would be 50% of your reimbursement for getting security cameras on the outside of your building or commercial property. The other program is the storefront improvement program, which allows you to beautify the outside of your building. That is specific to certain business corridors, but if you go to our website and get the information, you can find out if you're eligible, if you're on an eligible corridor. You can get between, it's again a reimbursement of up to 50%, and it is between $10,000 and $15,000 for that. We have a couple of different loan options that are available. I won't go into all the details now, but if you visit our website, phila.gov/commerce, you'll be able to find all of the information for the programs that we offer. But besides that, we are the resource for what your business needs are. So whatever you need, we will get you to it. So you can kind of think of us as like the switchboard for the telephone service. We get you to the source of what you need. So we have technical assistance providers. We have partnerships with some of the universities. I saw a couple of questions about nonprofit organizations. We specify with for-profit businesses, but we have partnerships with organizations that help with nonprofits, so we can still get you that connection for that resource. Off the top of my head, Temple University has a great nonprofit center, and also LaSalle University has a nonprofit center, and they can help you with resources from grants and funding to just what you need to put your organization together. I think that was everything, but you know, just really we want to drill in that you can come to us for whatever your need is with the city. Oh, and then I don't think I touched on it all about licensing, and if you have issues with the revenue, you can come to us for that as well. We want to make sure you get the right licensing for your business. There is one specific license that every business in the city of Philadelphia should have, which is the commercial activity license. That license is free. You have to file for the tax ID number first. You'll get that number and then use it to apply for the commercial activity license. Both of those are free. You can do them online, and it can be done in a day. But those are the main licenses that you need for operating in the city of Philadelphia.
Nicole, is that the same? Well, previously, was it called the business privilege license?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it used to be that, and it actually used to be $300, but now it's free. So
wow, excellent. Okay, great.
I
Great.
have changed some things. Yeah.
Excellent. Tyrell, I know you shared in the chat a few resources, but let's just run down some of the things that you shared. I know you shared the real estate school through Keller Williams. Give us a rundown of some of the resources that you want the folks to know before we wrap up our conversation.
Absolutely. So there are two others that I wanted to mention besides the free real estate school with Keller Williams. So there's a gentleman that I know in my community who also has a nonprofit. I do apologize if my camera's going out. Someone keeps trying to call me. But basically, the name of the company is Jacob's Ladder Development Center. And basically, what they specialize in is everything from veteran services, vocational services, behavioral services, as well as patient services. And what that entails, everything from a GED program, basic math classes. They teach coding. They teach coding from kids from 7 years old all the way up to the age of 18. You can learn how to code, right? And these are free classes, okay? They also deal with substance abuse counseling, PTSD, peer support groups, mental illness treatment, and so much more. I mean, the guy, when I met him, he said, "Hey, Tyrell," he called me Taylor. "Hey, Taylor, I'm in West Philly right now giving out some clothes at a barbershop that we're partnered up with, ESPN Barbershop." He's like, "Come around." I go out to the barbershop. They're giving out clothes. They're giving out tablets with 5 years of free Wi-Fi, just so that kids in Philadelphia can have access to the internet and get their homework done. Because Philadelphia, when it comes to kids' education, we are one of the worst places when it comes to kids' education in Philadelphia because we don't have the resources in our schools, okay? So when he told me, hey, 5 years free Wi-Fi, these kids are getting tablets for free, I'm on board with that. Also, another one that I have not dropped in the chat, but I will. It's a young lady that I met a while ago. She also has a nonprofit called Men's Fit. And basically, Men's Fit, in a nutshell, pretty much helps teach employment skills. They go over everything from how to interview, right? Basic knowledge. How to do an interview can go a long way for a lot of people. How to dress in an interview. They help you pick out clothes. They donate clothes to you so you look good when you're wearing a suit on your way to an interview. They also help with you if you want to start a business and things of that nature. They kind of help you build a business plan, and they do so much more. So I'm going to also drop those links in the chat as well so that you guys have them.
Excellent, Tyrell. Thank you so much. And thank you for dropping those gems and that information. And I know people are asking how they can get in touch with all of you. I want to go back. I want to, Dr. Jamisa, you held up a book, and I think that's one of the most practical things, right, that folks can do is there's a plethora of reading material out there, particularly from Black financial advisors, Black investors, Black entrepreneurs. But we don't have to just rely on just Black authors, right? Someone mentioned James C. Maxwell's book earlier, right? And that's been around. I think he wrote that book in like the late 70s, early 80s. But Dr. Jamisa, share with us some of the resources that you want the folks who are following along to know before we wrap up tonight.
Okay, so there's a few things, just in terms of books, because I am a mentor, I have 98 free ebooks that I can share. It's a link, it is inside of a Google Drive, and it's everything from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, As a Man Thinketh, to Emotional Intelligence 2.0. It's some of the strongest books of our time, and it's completely free. I ain't gonna tell you what I had to do to get it, but I can share it with you guys so that you can take part of it. Because like you said, it's not always about African-American authors. We also need to read from the words of the people who the system was designed for as a cheat sheet, right? So they're going to have more insight than we are naturally. And then that's how we take it back to our community and be able to build on that. So I can drop that link. I'll attempt to drop that link inside of the chat right now, but also, like I said, the Private Banking Blueprint book by Jake Taylor Jacobs. It also is a course, and I actually purchased a certain thing from him that I am able to share with you guys for free. So if you text that number in the chat, I'll literally give you a link so that you can watch the free private banking class, and you can decide if you already have an insurance company in place or a policy, you can take that information back and have your policies rewritten or just get another policy. So I can offer you guys that as well. And all things real estate, obviously, investor-wise, I'm the person for that. but definitely tap into Tyrell's class for Keller Williams, because although I am not an agent and I have never been, I did go to real estate school and I passed fundamentals and practice. And it helped me a lot with the terminologies and the knowledge and how to look at contracts and understand certain verbiage. I decided to go the investor route opposed to the agent route, but you can do both. So I think the best way to figure out what you actually like is to educate yourself on both parts of it. So that's that.
Excellent. I have folks asking for that number again. I know you put it in the chat early on, but if you can.
If you have to text the word bank, so it'll send you the link automatically. The number is 267-493-1005. I'll put it again.
Yeah, if you can
Can I
add it,
also
or
share one more resource too?
Obi and me, if you can find it and put it in. Because we had a lot of conversation in the chat. A lot of people were fired up and really supportive, encouraged by what you guys have been saying. Tyrell, you wanted to add something?
Just one more resource. If you guys never heard of the app called Clubhouse, I advise you to download it, because Clubhouse is literally like this webinar or like this Zoom, except there's no video. It's all audio and it's recorded. But Clubhouse has helped me excel tremendously in some of my side hustles, right? The people that you meet and that you get into those rooms and have conversations with, it's just like this, literally. So you can do this all day around the clock if you wanted to, right? You can tap in, join a room, talk to someone that specializes in finance, investments, real estate, health, nonprofit. It doesn't matter. They have everything. So, and it's a free app. You download it. They have a bunch of rooms on there. You can add your friends from Facebook. So I just wanted to drop that gem too.
Tyrell, thank you for that. I'm thinking of, and I know you know this name if I was to say Gary V, right? Gary V.
Yeah.
So anybody that knows,
Vaynerchuk.
yep, Gary Vaynerchuk. So anybody that knows Clubhouse should know the name Gary Vaynerchuk, who is extremely inspirational just in terms of like these quick hit information, just real quick bites of information about how to build your business, all about entrepreneurism, but he gets into NFTs and investment and cryptocurrency and all forms of wealth generation. And also chat, what is it? Clubhouse. Clubhouse is also now available on Android as well. It wasn't available on Android for a very long time. I want to say when it was at its peak and everybody was using it, everybody, all the iPhone users. Yes, I'm an Android user. Yes, I was hating on all y'all. I was missing out on the conversation. But thank you for that, Tyrell. We're getting ready to come up on the 8 o'clock hour, and I want to make sure that we have time for our hosts, the Office of Black Male Engagement, to chime in and say thank you before we go. Somebody else said, yeah, I was hating too. Chandra says, yeah, I was hating too. Right? It was really restrictive. I got tired of hearing about it so much. That's how you're not one of the cool kids, right? Because you just can't play with everybody else. Jamisa, you dropped the Google Drive link in a Google folder link.
Yes. So that is, I don't know how you guys want to take it and get it to everybody, but that is the link with the 98 ebooks. Like it has the 10X rule by Grant Cardone.
Yes.
Obama. So I'm actually also a member of a Forbes group, Forbes the Culture. And we have this thing where, like you guys talked about accountability, we actually have a group in which we share a bunch of different resources and a bunch of things. And that was one of the things I begged them. I was like, can I please just take it outside? Please, can I just take it from the group? There's so many people who, can stand to read those books. So I took it, and that was yours. That's a little bit of our culture for you guys. But click that. You can watch every single book. There is no audio, so you will have to read. I don't know how y'all feel about the screen and the lighting, but, take your time with it. Take your time and try to read at least a book a quarter. I actually have an app that I pay for. It's called Headway, and it is really, really good. It teaches you, so they'll have challenges. There's like a success challenge, a wealth challenge, and it challenges you to read between 10 to 19 minutes of a specific book per day. And then depending on the challenge that you choose, it'll choose the book for you. So if you're choosing success, it'll give you 28 different books that you should read. And each day they create a certain, they'll say like chapter, blah, blah, blah is relevant to what you're trying to do. And literally reading 12 minutes per day of a book can change because we're subconsciously downloading all of the information into our heads. Like the same way we're on Instagram, we're consuming these images of people. You can do that with a book. And it doesn't pop up right away, but it'll be when you least expect it. You'll be in a conversation, you'll hear something, and you're like, oh, wait, I heard that before, or I know what that means. And it gives you more of an opportunity to be present in the moments that you guys are seeking.
Jamisa, there's a couple of questions about, someone asked about the Jacob's Ladder link. Where is the link? I don't see the link.
So that was Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor spoke about a nonprofit called Jacob's Ladder. The guy who wrote the private banking book's name is actually Jake Taylor Jacobs too. So they might have gotten it confused. Jake is the private banking guy. Jacob's Ladder is the nonprofit.
Yeah.
I also put, just real quick, I put a login for Audible. So I just want to back up Dr. Jamisa on that too. So, hey, listen, if you can't flip the pages on the book, you're in the car or something, you're driving, Audible is a great app. It's free. You can download it on tablet or device. And that login that I shared.
Hold on 1 second, Tyrell. So I see something in the chat, and thank you, Nicole, for pointing it out. So look at your chat and make sure that you're sending to everyone and not just host and panelists. Because if you only send it to host and panelists, the folks who are in attendance can't see it, right? So make sure it's sent to everyone. Thank you for pointing that out. So there's some of you who can't see the link that we're talking about because it's got it. He's going to post it again and make sure we share it. All right. I think this was great. I don't know about y'all.
Wait. Mr. Taylor was talking about the Audible link. They need to hear that.
Yeah, so he was yes, thank you. Finish what you were saying. I'm sorry. I saw it and copied it already. I put it in my notes already. But yes, please finish telling everybody else about it.
Yeah, I'm going to reshare all these links as well because I was I'm guilty. Hosting panelists all day. I was lighting y'all up. So I'll make sure I reshare all the links as well. But Audible is a free app. You can download on any tablet device. They also have it on desktop. But basically that login was given to me by a gentleman I met on Clubhouse, actually. And he told me I can share that same login with any like-minded individuals like myself. It has over 1,000 audiobooks on there that you can tap into. If you're driving, if you're running, if you're working out, you can't physically open up a book and have it in front of your face. Audible is the best way to go.
Thank you for that. And just so y'all know, that being able to switch back and forth is only available to the host and panelists. So you guys don't have to worry about that. We can see your chat, but with the panelists, they can also send chats only amongst ourselves. And that's one of the mix-up that was happening. So for those of you who haven't been seeing the links, that's what's going on right now. Dr. Jamisa mentioned the link for books. Yes, that's the Google Drive link that was shared above. If you take a look, you'll see a link that says Google Drive to books. And thank you, Eric, for sharing that again. And we're gonna make sure we give Tyrell time to put his links in again. But I
have a quick question for you, by the way. I know that you collected everyone's email that they reserved to be on this call. Perhaps maybe we can form something where we send you guys all the links as well, just to be on the safe side in case someone might have missed something. And maybe you guys can just e-blast it out to the entire list.
Already way ahead of you. Yes, I think that's something that's done with all of the Black Generational Wealth series, but if it's not, hint, it should be. So we're going to make that happen definitely for tonight.
You guys need to be listening to those ebooks when you sleep, when you decompress and download that subconscious. I'm serious. You can be asleep and still retain information because your body is resting, but your subconscious is always active. You can do it.
That's right. All right, so I want to give one last word to you guys before we hand it back over to Eric Westbrook. Nicole, I know you've been hanging in there with us and sharing a lot of gems and a lot of resources and information. Really appreciate this. I know you said it's not something you've been doing a lot of before, but if you're happy with tonight, I would love to connect with you again and invite you back for another discussion.
Absolutely, this was amazing.
Yeah, give us your last thoughts before we wrap up tonight.
I would just say definitely make sure if you're starting your business, if you're thinking about starting a business, give our office a call. We are here to help you out, help you get started, help you get moving, help you expand if you're already started. I dropped all of our contact information in the chat, but you can call our hotline, 215-683-2100. We will answer the phone. If you do get a voicemail message, just leave a message. We'll call you back. Or you can email us at business@phila.gov. But I also just want to say thank you again for allowing me to be a part of the panel. Everyone just shared such a wealth of information. Continue to come out to things like this, to the audience. Make sure that you're gathering all of the resources that you can, tap into everything that you can so that you can maximize on what it is that you want to do.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. And I just want to say my apologies to Keith. Keith just put a question in there. And honestly, Keith, that question, the answer to that question would be a whole nother event if we got into that. The question was about establishing business credit, which is a whole nother book of that we could get into. But we do want to address that at a later date. I would say reach out to our panelists, send that email to either myself, OBME, or the panelists, whoever's contact information you got, and we'll be happy to follow up with answering that question. Tyrell, give us the last parting words and thoughts as we get ready to wrap up.
One of the biggest things in business and life in general is to just show up. Show up, be present, especially if it's not going to cost nothing. Just continue to think about everything we talked about tonight and use it to your advantage, right? Use it to your advantage. All the people on the panelists, myself included, we want you to succeed. We want it bad because it makes us all look better. It makes us all feel better. It's going to create that generational wealth that we're talking about tonight. It starts now. Don't wait. Just do it. You know what I mean? Like, don't remember those corny, I'm not going to say corny. I'm not going to do that. But those Everest college commercials. You sit on the couch. You ain't got nothing going on. You're just chilling. You might go out this weekend and spend money. You might as well just get started. No, for real though, just do it. But put the pen on the pad, set that goal, set that plan, and it's time to just do it. And I thank you all so much for this because, I mean, this this has helped me so much too in my life and my business. I'm so proud to be here with all of you guys. I'm so thankful for all of you guys. I mean, I've gained so much knowledge from this. So I want to continue this relationship and I look forward to seeing all of you guys succeed. I really do.
Tyrell, thank you so much for that. I want to now pass it to Dr. Jamisa. Dr. Jamisa, thank you so much for being here and all that you've shared. Give us one final thought as we wrap up for the evening.
You guys are your greatest investment. So you are the bag. Secure yourself and then everything else will come second nature to you. So really focus on self-development and refilling that pot so that you can overflow and give from a place of abundance.
Beautiful. All right. And on that note, I really appreciate all of you being here. My name is Eric Marsh Sr. I am the chair of the Mayor's Commission on African American Males, and I'm honored to share this panel with our esteemed guests. For more information, we're going to pass it back to Eric Westbrook of the Office of Black Male Engagement to see us out for the evening. So thank you all. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, panelists, Nicole, Tyrell, Dr. Jamisa. Thank you all so much for, again, another amazing discussion that our community has resonated with since day one of this series, our third year. And we are excited that, and I'm almost a little bit, I'm wishing that we could go back and rewind even some more because this is such great content that I need to constantly have replaying in my mind. So thank you. Everyone that is registered for this event, you all will get a copy of this in your email. It will also be streaming on our Facebook page. It'll be housed there. You can go back and take a look at it. You all will receive the chat. So all of the amazing contacts and resources and links that were in that chat, you will have access to. And we want you to come out again with us next Thursday night. Next Thursday night, we will be having our last and final discussion of our series And we're talking about transferring the knowledge to the next generation. How do we ensure that wealth is generational, right? There's the difference between being wealthy and rich, is that there's an ongoing, established generational approach to wealth. And that's what we want to see established in our communities. And so we're going to hear from some amazing panelists on next Thursday. But again, I can't say it enough. Thank you all for being here. The gems you all dropped were powerful. I hope that our community, our listeners tonight, you all have taken notes. You all will refer back to this recorded session. Follow us on Instagram at OBMEPHL. Follow us on our Facebook page, Black Male Engagement PHL. And remember to stay tuned for next week's event. We hope you had a great time tonight. Thank you all so much. I want to thank again the Mayor's Commission on African American Males, the Mayor's Office of Public Engagement, and everyone that played such a vital role tonight. Dr. Jamisa, Tyrell, Nicole, you guys were amazing. And I promise we are going to be following up with you all throughout the year. You ain't going to get away from us. We're going to track you down because this is powerful stuff that folks need to be aware of and encouraged. So we pray you are all inspired to, again, pick up your vision, not give up on what you have and what you know you can do. Continue to develop it, and let's see our community transformed. Thank you again so much for your time. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.